Hi, this module we will talk about access control. Access control is the mechanism or set of policies dictating how subjects access objects. It uses technologies, techniques, and mechanisms to achieve the objectives of access control models. You need to understand the differences between access control, authorization, and authentication. The granting of permission to access a resource is known as authorization. The entity, proofing, it is what it is authentication. The following are the more common types of access control models: mandatory access control, discretionary access control, and role-based access control. Mandatory access control has a centralized classification mechanism. This is more used in a highly secure situation. For example, in military settings or highly regulated environments. In the mandatory access control model, data or systems are duly classified by labels such as top secret, secret, confidential, etc. are assigned centrally. Mandatory access control is closely related to multi-level security, MLS. Mandatory access control mechanisms assign a security label or level to all the entities, assign a security clearance to each user, and ensure that all users only have access to the data for which they have a clearance. Only administrators, or in some cases the system itself, not data owners, can make changes to a resource's security label. Mandatory access control is seldom practiced in pure form for technology, as under business environment, it is very restrictive and performance-heavy. One example of mandatory access control is Windows. Since Windows Vista, Microsoft has implemented mandatory integrity controls. Even as a system administrator, you can't change the ownership or security labels of those files. There is also a Project SE Linux that implements mandatory access control. Key takeaway of mandatory access control is centralized assignment. Data rights are not owned by data owners. Next, we talk about discretionary access control. Discretionary access control, DAC, is simply the owner grants the access permission to other entities. This is commonly seen in most of the operating system. Both Unix and Windows also use this model. In the Unix world, it is implemented via protection bits. That is read, write, execute set for each object. In Windows, it's the access control list that you right-click. Finally, is role-based access control. In role-based access control, access decisions are based on an individual's roles and responsibilities within the organization. It is more intuitive, as each entity has a role in the organization, and based on that role, we can assign the rights that they need to have. For example, a bank teller is a role. A bank manager is a role. They have different rights to different resources. Roles are assigned based on organizational structure, with emphasis on the organizational security policy. It is important to understand that these are access control models, and in real-world application, it is usually a mixed and match situation. For example, in Windows 10, the mandatory integrity controls limits the system files. The users who created their own files can decide its permissions. When present in an enterprise domain, users are assigned into organizational roles that are given certain rights. This is a combination of all three models. There are a few more models like attribute-based access control and rule-based access control. We will cover those in the advanced modules.